Louis are faithful.
They're courageous.
Are trustworthy.
They're high energy, loving.
So dedicated.
Passionate about what we do.
They're spunky and they're dynamic.
Adaptable, grateful.
And vibrant.
Are generous women.
They know exactly what their mission in life is, and they
speak well for our faith.
The Sisters of St. Louis, a congregation of vowed Catholic women, were founded outside Paris in 1842, owing their origins to Abbé Louis Colmar, laywoman Louise Ouma, and Abbé Louis Botan. Abbé Botan, a professor of philosophy, was guided by the prayer of Jesus in the Gospel of John, chapter 17, verse 21. Sint unam, may they be one. His passionate dream of a world healed, unified, and transformed inspires all that the Sisters of St. Louis do. The patron of the congregation is St. Louis IX, King of France. With their desire to heal and transform lives, the sisters' work began to spread throughout the world. The commission to carry the good news of God's love to the whole world, which had already taken the Sisters of St. Louis to Ghana and Nigeria, impelled them once again to leave their homeland and journey afar, this time to Los Angeles, California. Once more, in 1949, the Monaghan community gathered in front of their mother house to bid farewell to the 8 pioneers who set off to the strains of Go Ye Afar, engendering both enthusiasm and sadness.
This year we're celebrating 60 years in the United States. We came in 1949 to Nativity Parish in El Monte.
I came here with the first group in 1949.
I went to school with the Sisters of St. Louis at another Louisville in Monaghan, Ireland. And while there, I heard about the sisters, the work of the sisters and the missions. They had just begun missions in Africa, in Nigeria and Ghana. And I was interested. I felt a calling for that work. But I had a wonderful music, piano and violin teacher who encouraged me to come to the Sisters of St. Louis and that I could do that kind of missionary work.
Sint unum means that all may be one. This is a phrase that was very dear to our founder, Louis Botan, who was a philosophy professor at the University of Strasbourg in the 1800s. He had the idea that we are one as Christ or Jesus and the Father are one.
You know, we're a very diverse group, but yet in that diversity, we're also very united. And unity is very important for us in whatever we're involved in.
A number of years ago, our general chapter asked us to try to find ways to connect with our sisters living in other countries, to try to, not just to see the world from our own eyes, but from the eyes of sisters living in other countries and getting to appreciate and learn about their cultures.
Our charism for the Sisters of St. Louis entails a world unified, healed, and transformed. And I think we are working hard in that.
Heart as well as head were important. The enlightening of minds and the inflaming of people's hearts or people's inner core.
Our community gave us great opportunities. We also were imbued with the spirit of our founder. He was very real. From that, his stance and challenge came, he was a person you responded to, and the more we studied his whole philosophy, the more vibrant I think our community became.
We are transforming lives through our ministry, I think mostly by our presence. We bring a presence of hope to the people.
We came to the United States as the educational system, Catholic education, was being set up. Parishes and schools were being opened. And these schools, they blossomed through the 1960s, 1970s.
They've been teaching in our schools here, and most people would retire. They continue working. They just love working with the children, and they're great with them and also good with the families, so they're a real blessing for the community.
A lot of years ago, my very first teaching assignment was to teach 5th grade here at Nativity School.
I went to high school with the Sisters of St. Louis, and I was really drawn to the just kind of happy community that seemed to exist.
I was educated by the Sisters of St. Louis in secondary school in Ireland.
My involvement with the Sisters of St. Louis began when I became the first class of 1960 in a brand new girls' high school in Woodland Hills, California.
I met the Sisters of St. Louis when I attended Louisville High School, and what I noticed about the sisters was their community spirit, and I also noticed that each one of them had her own personality. They weren't like duplicates of each other, and that was very attractive to me.
I used to see the young sisters when they would come, when they would join the order, and they were dressed in their nice black habits, and I used to say, I think I'd love to be one of those sisters someday.
They were very well-educated women, seemed to be with it in terms of what was going on in the world at the time, and I was 18 when I joined them, so, and I've never regretted it.
An important piece of their educational philosophy was that their education was very person-centered.
What I appreciated about my own education here at Louisville was both the spirit of the sisters, the faith that they instilled, and the encouragement in me to be the best person and the best leader I could be.
The possibility of, a love of God in ministry was responded to the idealism of a young girl. And I entered with them and have stayed.
Their relationship with God, nurtured by prayer and celebration of the Eucharist, is the center of the sisters' life and ministry. Their desire is that of Gerard Manley Hopkins' simple poem, "Thee, God, I come from, to Thee go. All day long I like fountain flow from Thy hand out, swayed about, mote-like in Thy mighty glow," and might describe the rhythm of their day.
I am president of Louisville High School, and I was appointed in 1988, having been a principal for 14 years here at the same school. My responsibilities relate to the mission of the Sisters of St. Louis, the philosophy, and the Catholic identity of the school.
I am currently working in several fields in Brazil. In the early years, I did do some teaching, 9 years of teaching in the little elementary schools in the town. And through that teaching, I was able to learn the language and adapt to the culture.
I am the conserver, preserver, and displayer of the materials, documents, papers that are generated here by the sisters.
And I've seen how we have grown, how the spirit has grown.
The sisters have gone into other works, and I think that's something that has, they just didn't sit back and do nothing.
We're involved actually in a project that was started in the wake of the riots in 1992. There were 8 religious communities that wanted in some way to address the people's needs in that area in South Central Los Angeles.
That has been part of our charism, that Louis Bottin actually said that we respond to the needs where we are at the time.
So the sisters walked the streets, and eventually they opened up a small venture working with parents, mainly women, and because they brought their children along with them, there was daycare for the children, which eventually evolved into preschool, and so now we are funded with First 5 LA and also LA Universal preschool.
We also have women's groups and women's issues, which is always very, very important because Brazilian self-esteem at times is very, very low. A lot of the women don't even have a full grade school education. So we have stimulated a lot of them to go back and do some grade school education and to get their high school.
Also a joint venture of 15 religious communities. It's called the Southern California Partners for Global Justice. And our main focus in the last number of years has been on social justice issues such as human trafficking. We have sponsored and held a symposium at Mount St. Mary's College each year, raising awareness about human trafficking.
One of our sisters went in to work with prisoners, those who have been released from prison.
And finally tonight, the power of a strong idea and a lot of determination. In California today, First Lady Maria Shriver announced the winners of her annual Minerva Award, recognizing women who have great ideas, stick to them, and see results. One winner, an optimist who believes that even prisoners can be given a second chance.
I'm a sister of St. Louis, and I'm the executive director of Crossroads Incorporated, which is a program that works with women who have been incarcerated. It was founded by a group of people that were going into the women's prison, CIW, to visit the women inside. And it was out of that experience that this particular group of people wanted to do something more for the women when they were released. And so they purchased a house where women could start over without any thought of what their background had been. And I write letters every single time they go before the Board of Parole hearings, guaranteeing them a place to come to. Because if they don't have a residence, they will never be found suitable by the board. And that's something that I learned very early on in this work, 20 years ago when I first came. You can be a model prisoner inside, you can have a perfect record, but if you don't have a place to go to, if you don't have a place to live, then you will never be found suitable by the board and you will never be released.
For me, the main thing was every night we sat down as a family for dinner.
She's tough, but she's fair. She has always given her all.
Now I live on my own, and I actually am fortunate enough to work for her. So, and I get to help other people in my situation through her.
And so I'm the one that gets the acclamation, but it's really the women who are making the changes within their life that deserve the recognition.
You ready for this? Judy told you guys to use little knives. You ready for that?
Yes, yeah.
We are going to begin a new community in New York among the immigrant community there. And I hope that that will open up new possibilities. You know, it's a new way of connecting with others. We may not have the same ministries as we've had, but we are, we know that others will carry on these ministries. And we will do what we can to collaborate with lay people in ministry. Maybe in the past we would have talked about lay people collaborating with us, but I think that we will support them and encourage them in church ministry.
At the moment we have 50 associates, and they are men and women. There are people generally who have been in ministry with us over the years. And in 1984, our Superior General at that time, Sister Dorothy, asked us to look into forming a group that would journey with us in mission and ministry. Each associate is invited to make a commitment to a ministry for a year. They're not core members, obviously. They live their lives as they always do. But they partner with us in ministry. With the sisters and the associates, we have a Justice, Peace, and Integrity of Creation Committee.
I think the Sisters of St. Louis really has a unique charism, you know, their spirit. We have, a world healed, unified, and transformed has been the touchstone of the group. And I guess, wanted to say how unique and how delightful, I think, so many of the sisters are. They're so real, they're so personal in their faith journey, and they're also very intellectual in a very...
They're partners. The emphasis, it's a threefold emphasis for them, is prayer, community, and ministry. Now we have associates who are bringing in other people as associates. So that's exciting.
We became associates through the efforts of Sister Antonia, who taught us the Bible study and then asked us to become associates of the Sisters of St. Louis. It's really been a very, very touching episode in our lives. My wife is also an associate.
They have really, I think, pioneered this group, and in maybe the wisdom or their dedication, they've brought in this lay arm, the associates. And I think it will be a powerful force for the future. I'm not sure what we're all individually called for. The international part is really neat, but I think also within the Catholic Christian community in this country, you know, we're going to need to step up to the plate in a lot of different ministries. So
I think all sisters will always be wanted and needed, and I must say I really appreciate the respect and the acceptance.
We are successful because I believe we are a courageous group.
I am still in Brazil after so many years, since 1976, because I feel that I have received so much more than I have been able to give.
The sisters are looking forward to still expanding. You know, they are really wonderful. And I think it's the grace of God that even though there isn't much vocation, that has not stopped them.
Everybody appreciates that the sisters are doing good work.
In the 21st century, it's difficult when there aren't a lot of women, young women entering communities, not just the Sisters of St. Louis, but any community. But I think where the strength lies, or where the potential growth lies, is in the seeds that we plant, in the people that we're involved in.
As they say, you can make a difference, as the hymn says. We do. I think we all do, you know.
In 1949, the St. Louis pioneers looked west and journeyed west. Now they and those who came after them have reached the 60th milestone, and the journey continues. Ahead, the road is winding, rugged, steep, but they have promises to keep and miles to go before they sleep. As they turn to look east and set their eyes on a new foundation in New York, they invite you to join them. You may be moved to help finance this new venture, or you may feel called to devote a few years to its ministry. You may even, like those 1949 pioneers, be driven to leave all and give all, to become core members of the Sisters of St. Louis. Whatever form it takes, God's invitation is always a call to go afar, to travel beyond the comfort of present securities, to trust the promise that God will be with us wherever the journey leads until the end of time.